This is a HeadGum podcast.
Today's episode of the Black Girl Nerds podcast is brought to you by Treat your scalp well this year and go to My Fluffy Puffs. Go to myfluffypuffs.com and check out their Hydrate collection of products, from their Mango Whip to their shampoo and body bar. If you go to their website now, myfluffypuffs.com, you can use the code HYDRATE10 and save 10% off of your next order. myfluffypuffs.com. Premiering February 1st, Misty Knight's Uninformed Afro. Welcome to our new podcast, Misty Knight's Uninformed Afro. The new podcast series will dive into the origin stories, character development, and story arcs of our favorite Black superheroines and characters in comics. These are the obscure stories you don't always hear about, and we share commentary on some of our favorite moments in comics. We're going into deep discussions about Storm, Misty Knight, Monica Rambeau, Vixen, Amanda Waller, Riri Williams, Lunella Lafayette, and the Dora Milaje. The series has two hosts, founder and managing editor of BlackGirlNerds.com and host of the BGN podcast, yours truly, Jamie Broadnax. And Stephanie Williams, host of The Lemonade Show. Each episode will reference comic book issues, dates, and creators. That way you can go back and check out the stories for yourself. By the end of the series, you will become a certified expert in the fictional world of Black superheroines. Please subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. We'd love to hear what you think about the show. See you soon.
You are now listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast, hosted by Jamie Broadnax. Tune into this fun-filled episode featuring some of the best in geek entertainment. BGN is international and heard all over the world. BGN is everywhere. ジェイミー・ブロードナックスがお届けするブラックガールナードポッドキャスト、略して BGN。BGN は世界のオタクたちに向けて発信するオタクエンターテインメント番組です。
Hey, this is Steve Harper, creator of Send Me, an original web series, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
This is Ben Jones with Yes We Code. You are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hey, this is Jules Smith, creator of Afrocentric the Comic, and you're listening to Black Girl Nerds.
This is Sanai Sydney, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hi, I'm Andre Meadows. I have a YouTube channel, Black Nerd Comedy. Have you heard of it? Don't matter, because you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast, the best podcast in the whole world that I'm doing a promo for right now. Boom! That's true.
Hey, I'm Effie Brown, and I'm a producer of Dear White People, Real Women Have Curves, and recently you probably saw me on HBO's Project Greenlight. And you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hey, what's up? This is Morris Chestnut, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Boys and girls, it's the BGN, coming from the Marvel world to the DC friends, all the way from Hollywood to the PCN. She defends everyone from sleazy men. Won't apologize for spitting Shonda rhymes. The space that we make is never colonized. We're talking games and movies and actors. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Yeah, better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Ha. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 100 of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie, and I am your host. This is obviously a milestone for us, so what are we going to do to celebrate it? Well, we're going to do a best of show. So we are presenting you with some of our favorite episodes throughout the years in a roundtable discussion featuring myself, Caron, Kayla, and Mel. That's all going to be presented in segment 1. Then we move on to segment 2, where we talk about the movie Hidden Figures. That's right, Hidden Figures debuted about a few weeks ago in select theaters and was released nationwide on January 6th. And we are so excited to talk about this movie. We've been waiting for everybody to get a chance to see it so we can all talk about it together as a group, and we present that to you in segment 2. And then in segment 3, we talk about another great film. This one premiered on Christmas Day, called Fences, based on the August Wilson play of the same name, and we are incredibly excited for that one as well. So, we're talking about movies, and we are presenting some of our favorite moments from the Black Girl Nerds podcast in episode 100, featuring myself, Kayla, Caron, and Mel. So sit back, relax, enjoy this show, and thanks for your support over the years. Thank you for riding with us through all of these times. You know, technically this is more than just our 100th show. We've been around for a while, since March of 2013. If you remember, you were with us during those Blog Talk Radio days where we used to do this show live and live tweet the show as we were actually broadcast. Those were some very fun days, and we appreciate all you listeners that are still with us to this day. And if you're new to the Black Girl Nerds podcast, feel free to go back to our archives and check those out. You can still check out some of our old episodes on iTunes, and you'll find some interesting gems in there. But thank you so much for listening to our show. And if there's someone that you know that has not heard about our podcast, tell them about it. Remember, you can tune into our show via iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Spreaker, and Spotify. Thanks for tuning in to episode 100 of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. This is our best of show featuring Hidden Figures and Fences. Enjoy. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I'm very excited because we're going to do something a little different to celebrate our 100th episode. We're going to do a best of show. So we're going to celebrate some of our favorite moments of the BGN podcast with all of you. And I'm here to celebrate that with our guests and co-hosts, Caron, Kayla, and Mel. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Hey.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
I am too. Now, I want to say that this is technically not our 100th episode. We've done more episodes. If you go way back since March of 2013, if you were riding with us during the Blog Talk Radio days, there are some episodes that we did, about 50 episodes actually. So you can find those on iTunes, but then we transitioned on to Twib, and then we're now independent and affiliated with HeadGum, and we've reached 100. So I just wanted to throw that out there that we're actually like at 150 episodes.
Probably more than that if you count the extras.
That's true too. Yeah. So we've been podcasting for a minute. So yeah, so I want to get started on talking about some of our favorite episodes from BGN episode 1 up into this episode 100. What's our favorite ones? And we'll go in order. We'll start with Caron, Kayla, and then Mel, and then myself. And I want to know, what was your favorite one and why that particular episode resonated with you so much. So, Caron, you go first.
My favorite one was the X-Files episode.
Oh, that was your first episode with us.
That was my first episode, and we're coming up on 1 year in 2 weeks. So that has sentimental value, but it was the moment when I realized I found my tribe.
Aww.
I think I was on travel that weekend. I had just flown in from Denver, and then flown in from Denver to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina to Washington, D.C. My cousin had a play that she produced for BET, and I went to support her and got a chance to spend time with my family. So when we recorded the X-Files episode, I was in my hotel, and it was fabulous too, honey. But it was just, that episode means so much to me because I really understood the power of what Black Girl Nerds meant at that moment. And the X-Files kind of has a nostalgic connection to me and my eldest daughter as well, who I got to see that weekend for the first time in a long time. Oh. So, because she grown and she lives somewhere else. Hallelujah. And but yeah, that episode was, everybody was just themselves. You guys welcomed me and all my kookiness and my goofiness, and I got a chance to really get to know who you guys were behind the mic, and it was really awesome for me.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to your episode with us, your very first one, The X-Files.
What do you guys think about the cigarette smoking man?
Oh.
I wasn't expecting that at all, but...
Not through his neck? No.
If we can suspend disbelief that he did actually die in the finale, but let's leave that alone since they clearly have. But I still feel like he has been dangling that carrot in front of Mulder and Scully for like 9 seasons. I think it's interesting that he's back because something tells me we know he knows secrets. I mean, he pretty much knows everything. And I'm just trying to I'm trying to figure out how does he still play into this, because is he going to really reveal what exactly they need to know about what they've been through with the X-Files, about William?
He's got to be attached to William in some way or shape or form. It just doesn't make sense to bring him back just like that without some sort of really good motive. And I feel like he's attached to William.
Yeah,
I hope he doesn't have William. Ew.
It was confirmed in the finale that he is Mulder's father, so
right.
I believe that. So yeah, who knows?
Okay, but who's holding the cigarette to his neck? That's what I need to know.
He's like right. You know, the blizzard roaches, the roaches that will survive anything.
Or the ones that scatter when you turn the lights on.
But how do you survive getting burned to death? I don't understand that.
I think that ties into I think it ties into the conspiracy and everything.
Okay.
If there's
hence
some
the
kind
cigarettes
of infidelity, it feels super implausible. I feel like I'm rationalizing something that just cannot be rationalized, but that has to be it. I mean,
you come back as the Phantom of the Opera. Did you see that thing on the side of his face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
he's all toasty. I mean, there's probably something that they can bring people back to life with. I mean, they have everything else in the X-Files, so probably just drank something, or they put him in a bath and then he just came back.
But we saw his face get melted off to the point where he was a skeleton. We saw his skeletal remains.
Well,
I'm just like, how does that happen?
Well, how do we know that he's human?
Kayla.
This was the hardest thing to come up with, was like my favorite episodes that I've been a part of, because just like Caron, I'm coming up on a year with BGN, and it's like, where has time gone within a year? It feels like it's been 100 years, but not in a bad way. So I didn't pick my first episode. I picked an episode where I kind of finally knew that I was doing something I was supposed to do, but I was also living my dreams, and it was the episode we recorded with Daryl and Belle from A Different World.
Yes.
So fun. I remember calling my mother in tears after Jamie responded back and said, "You got that one." I was like, just like so utterly happy, because I'm on the younger end of the spectrum, coming up on 30. So I was young when the show was on, but it resonated with me. And so being able to sit down and talk to him, I went into it thinking this is going to be great, ask him all these questions and just kind of relive my 90s youth. And I ended up getting the best interview I've ever had, because he can speak. and when he speaks, his words have weight. And we all got like a master lesson in how to give a lecture. He could have probably talked for about 45 more minutes.
Or hours.
Yeah. Or hours. Yeah. But yeah, it just, I knew I was doing something that was going to stick with me. I was meeting these people that have had an influence on me, but then I was also opening up doors for younger people that might not know who he is, and his significance. And so, yeah, that was a good thing for me. And it was very powerful interview.
So let's listen to Daryl M. Bell drop some knowledge on us on the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
For me, what's missing in entertainment, I would say, particularly as everyone has talked about diversity, I would talk about it with greater specificity. I don't think it's just diversity and if you're going to define diversity by the ethnicity of those who are allowed to tell stories. Because my experience is there's a lot of diversity in the people behind the cameras to some extent, but they're telling the same stories. Oftentimes when people bemoan some of the stories, particularly of those of color, they say, well, we've seen that before. We've seen this story before. We've seen this story before. It continues to portray the pathology of our community. And unfortunately, I see oftentimes with stories for people of color, what's missing is balance. If you want to tell the stories about those who, grew up in a life of crime and struggling and were underprivileged, and then they started, a business or something like that, I've seen a lot of stories like that.
All right. Mel?
All right, then. I think my first podcast episode was in 2015, but I'm not exactly sure when in that year. I just know that because it was an entirely different apartment I was living in, and that's the only reason I can remember. So my favorite episode is episode 20, Curves and Cosplay.
Oh, yeah.
And, yes.
Yeah. Loved that.
And I loved it because I love cosplay. And that episode, it dovetailed with a lot of my views on cosplay while taking it a step further. Because there was a discussion on gatekeeping, and I never really thought of it that way. And that's exactly what it is when people have an issue with cosplaying outside of your race or cosplaying outside of your size. So it's inspiring. That whole episode was inspiring in the sense that it normalized something that a lot of fandom rejects. So I can be fat and I can be black and still cosplay, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's also inspiring in the sense that I was re-listening to it, and I haven't really been feeling the cosplay bug this year. I've been very ambivalent about it for the past couple of months. But listening to that episode made me immediately want to get a pad and start writing down ideas for what to do for this season. So that is my favorite episode.
Curves and Cosplay episode on Black Girl Nerds podcast. Let's take a listen.
Shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.
I definitely think that strong female characters help men see women as more than just objects, so that is awesome. I think for women, I think it helps them relate better to these characters because they actually see someone that's like them. Positive representation is extremely powerful. For me, there is this body love activist, her name is Virgie Tovar, and I found her YouTube series online, and I could definitely relate to her because she's Filipina, and she's fat positive, and so watching her videos and reading her blogs really inspired me and helped me recognize my value and potential as a fat brown woman, and inspired me to be more proactive in my activism. So representation is super life-changing.
All right. Well, for me, one of my favorites was BGN 44. This episode was titled The Force Sleeps on Women of Color, and it was myself, The Revolution, and Rebecca Theodore Vachon we all knew, of course, Star Wars has had a huge problem with women of color and black women in particularly when it comes to casting roles. So we put together this episode, and it was just really funny. There was a lot of honest banter between myself and the Revolution and Rebecca. And it was, for me, one of the most entertaining yet informative discussions about Star Wars that I've heard on a podcast. It was an honor, rather, to be a part of that. And having a very animated guest like Ramon come on the show made it very fun to listen to. So, yeah, BGN 44, The Force Sleeps on Women of Color. Take a listen.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
You know, like, let's really let her shine through here. They could have changed it. It's an excuse. I don't want to hear it. I really don't care. And it's funny, even Star Trek, right? My aunt used to always make this joke, right? And she used to say, niggas cannot catch a break in outer space in the future. She was like, you got one nigga who's an alien with a turtle shell for a head, and then you got another nigga with an S curl, and he's crippled.
Wow, that's so true. And he can't get a
girlfriend with a banana clip on his face. And listen, when you look at that. When you look at that, you go, damn. Like, I mean, it's funny how we just can't be in this space and time as ourselves. Like,
right.
the woman should have been. Listen, if she
and it's science fiction fantasy. Like, you're making all of this up, so it shouldn't be that hard.
That's the point. That's the point.
It's not based on real life events where you're like, okay, well, this person is actually white, so that's why we have to cast them as white. Like, no, you don't.
That's the point. That's the point. And Jamie, I sat at breakfast, and that was something I came in. Thank God that you said this, and I want to repeat that and reinforce it if I may. You know what, Jamie? You know what, Rebecca? You know what, BGN listeners? Fantasy is something for us to aspire to. It's for us to look at and to dream and say, oh my God, I want to live in that world. And if we cannot go, oh my God, I want to live in a world of total inclusion where everyone is important, everyone is badass, how can you get there if you don't let's just be clear, if you don't let white people see this, and let them go, because you know what? Guess what? Black girls, and I'm not. Please don't take me as minimized, but you know what? You guys are always going to kick ass. You guys are always going to make inroads. You guys are going to be fucking phenomenal until this goddamn marble stops spinning. Okay? Because you are. You were born and bred to be fucking awesome. Period. Dot. Right? It's these white people that have to go, oh my God. So you guys aren't just mammies. Oh my God, you aren't just dancers. Oh my, you can be powerful. Like, they have to see what we are capable of in this realm.
All right. Caron, your second fave?
My second favorite has to be Geek Misogyny.
Oh.
Like, we have such incredible and wonderful guests, and we've really been blessed. 2016 was an amazing year for Black Girl Nerds. But when we took a deep dive into Geek Misogyny, that thing got real.
I cried, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cried on that episode.
I cried. I'm the crier.
But that was, you know, when I realized how safe of a space we have and how special of a place we hold in the culture. And that's when I don't know. There's a moment you become a part of something and you know that there's power in it, and then there's a moment you know that that power is a part of you now, and that's when I felt that when we did Geek Misogyny. That thing was amazing.
All right, let's take a listen to Geek Misogyny podcast.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
It just gets so damn tiring. I'm so tired. And I just got emotional because I walked into a comic book store, and I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry on the podcast for the first time. wearing my BGN shirt and to check me and say, why Black Girl Nerds? And do you even know what you're picking up? I am so damn tired of it. And to get checked in front of my son, who knows more than the dude bro standing in the corner staring at us because we're picking up stuff we like. I'm not walking in there just picking up random stuff. And the people that own the comic book store know me. So, they had to check them. But I am so tired of the bullshit that comes from dude bros that I'm upset right now. But I'm past that to the point where I'm pissed. And to the point where if you're going to come for me, I'm going to come for you. Because I'm done with it. I'm done with being checked on things. The person I'm with romantically, like Caron said, because I have the same interest as him. The fact that I can go to a comic book store with him and pick up things with him because he knows I like it and I know what he likes is everything. So don't try and come for me because I spent my entire life being different and now I have a space with people that are like-minded like myself. So you're going to check me because of my shirt. You're going to check me because I'm in the store and you don't think I know what I'm talking about? I'm completely over it. So yes, we're going to keep creating these spaces because you keep pushing us out. So yes, when they ask me, yeah, go to Black Girl Nerd, just go check out the site now. Because now your interest is piqued because you saw my shirt. So thanks. We're just going to keep putting the word out there because at this point, we're done defending ourselves and explaining ourselves to why we're doing these things and why we're into them. We're into them just the same way they are into these things. I don't owe you an explanation. And that's where I'm at with that. I'm over it.
All right, Kayla?
This one was really special because the whole episode was just kind of a really big moment for me. Jamie likes to say that this happened because of me, but I like to think it happened because she's given me the platform, but we got LeVar Burton. Yes! Yes! This was not my doing. I just tweeted something and it just, I don't know what happened from there because I was freaking out doing cartwheels in the living room. But I don't think we were ready. We were not prepared for what was about to happen. And he had us all in tears. And I think it's a really important episode to reflect back on right now, especially with all that we're about to go through for the next 4 years. I think what he had to say about where we've come as Black people in our place in this world and the leadership that we've had, I was just taken aback. He was so excited to be on here, which was so cool.
Yes, he said he was a fan.
Which was amazing. And the fact that the tagline he recorded for us, and he was so excited to do it with the Reading Rainbow twist. It was everything. And then also on the episode, the talk, Jamie, that we had after, really candid, really real, just us being Black girl nerds. And I really loved that, having those moments. We're not perfect. And so just letting them have the glimpse of what we talk about when we're, about to record, or what we talk about after recording, was just really nice. And the whole episode has really stuck with me. So I have to say, episode, it was 77. I remember because I bookmarked it on my computer screen. So
daily listening.
Yeah, put this on my resume. I spoke with LeVar Burton. I don't think you need to see much else.
Right. Well, let's listen to the blurred icon, the legendary LeVar Burton, take us all to school on this episode.
Better shake your booties for Black girl nerds.
The courage, the wherewithal, and the strength to survive the most atrocious acts in the history of humanity. They tried to eliminate us, y'all. And we are still here.
Amen to that.
So there is
Preach.
there is no shame in being Black and American, in my point of view. We have helped this country. Look, the modern world. Look, depending upon the historian that you talk to, between only 5 and 15% of the ships that left the west coast of Africa landed on these shores. So where did the other 85% go? They went to the Caribbean. They went to South America. They went to Europe. The modern world as we know it, between the colonization of Africa, between the British Raj and the transatlantic slave trade, the modern world as we know it was built on the backs of people of color. You feel me?
Oh, yes. Most definitely.
So don't talk to me about I don't need to hear that story anymore, because you only revealed to me that you have no idea. In saying that, you have no clue who you are and where you come from.
Wow. All right, Mel?
Okay, so my second favorite is episode 90, the Luke Cage show.
Yes.
And that was just an extravaganza of awesomeness. It was, we were so hungry for this show. And then to hear everybody on it basically talk about the show and what they loved about it and how awesome it was going to be. It was just so warm and so filling. And I think my favorite part of that episode was listening to Cheo talk about music, like what it meant to him as a kid and how it informed the development of the show, because music was so important in that show. And hearing him discuss that was really nice.
All right, let's listen to the Luke Cage show with Cheo Hidari Coker talking about the music behind the show.
Shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
I would say, the thing was that I always knew how much culture was going to resonate. And so the balance for me was the balance between making sure that I could accomplish everything that I wanted to do culturally, but then at the same time, making sure that we met the standards of geeks around the world, because particularly Marvel geeks, not only are Marvel geeks rabid, they're very specific and very articulate about what it is they want and how they want it. And so it was kind of making sure that we had that balance. I think one of the reasons that I broke through was really that pitch that I talked about, where I said when I was with Jeff Loeb and Cream's Rake, where I said I saw the show as the combination of Belly meets City of God as written by the staff of The Wire. I mean, really, strangely enough, the thing that turned them on the most, or at least Jeff, was when I said Belly. Because at the time, I didn't realize that he and Hype Williams were really tight. And so Belly, in a way, set a tone, because it let them understand that I really wanted to do something that was visually bombastic and could be identified with hip-hop, but then at the same time had the potential, for sophistication, because Malik Saeed, the way that he did the cinematography for Hype, I mean, that movie itself was beautiful. City of God really created a world, and The Wire managed to balance entertainment with, deep societal commentary, as well as just getting real to a point where it actually puts you up on culture rather than it being, like a theme park.
All right. Well, this is actually my favorite. I'm not really going in any particular order, but most of you guys on Twitter can guess what my favorite episode is, because the hotness that is Idris Elba happened.
Yes,
and I lived to tell about it. So to kind of give you guys some backstory, Idris Elba had followed the Black Girl Nerds account. I think it was on New Year's Eve of 2015 or maybe 2014, I forget. But he had followed the account. I had, not really made any kind of contact with him through direct messaging for a year because I was just too scared to. So I casually tweeted that I still haven't slid into his DMs. And everybody everybody on Twitter that follows the Black Girl Nerds account was like, you need to get him on the podcast. You need to go ahead and DM him. And because of you guys and the peer pressure, I went ahead and sent him a direct message. Lo and behold, he responds like within 24 hours, which was crazy to me. I didn't expect to get any response. And as it turned out, I was actually going to be traveling to San Diego Comic-Con, and he was appearing at San Diego as well to promote Star Trek Beyond. So I got together with his publicist, and we were able to coordinate it, and we ended up having an interview right then and there in his hotel in San Diego, and had a chance to meet face-to-face with Idris Elba. So
and you hugged him, right?
I hugged him. I smelled him. He touched my leg a couple of times. You can actually check out the interview because it was filmed on our YouTube channel, and we do have an episode. It was actually episode 83 where you can listen to it. So why don't we do that? Why don't we listen to the hotness that is Idris Elba talk to Black Girl Nerds?
There's a reason why the character's doing whatever they do, and I search for that reason. I search to try and pull out why, maybe not over philosophize it, but just humanize it. Because I think that's what makes more of a sort of 3D character. If you just play the bad guy and you just play a lot of anger, you can lose the audience really quickly. So I tend to go for characters, whether they're good or bad, but trying to find a way that makes them real. You know what I mean? Like honest about whatever they are. I'm a nerd.
Really? Okay, we're going to talk about this.
I can't wait to hear.
We're discussing this today.
Oh, really?
The beginnings of evolution, it's the process of our evolution, you know. Our children's children will probably have less of those divides, and so will entertainment. So I think it's really important that us, of this generation, sort of lay the seeds down properly. You know, let's lose the race card, let's lose the gender divide, and just make entertainment.
All right, Caron?
Okay, so there were, I have an honorable mention, but and I'm going to get to my favorite, but my honorable mention has to be Sam Benjamin of The Few.
Oh, so adorable.
He's become such a good friend, and he is just amazing. But if I had to choose a favorite, the most impactful, the most incredible, the most amazing, the most yeah, I did that shit interview was Ava DuVernay.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I swear I grew a foot when I talked to her, and I had a chance to talk to her several times that week, and just, we play cousins now, and she called me sis, and it's like, I adore her brilliance. I adore her fortitude, and I adore the fact that she is unapologetic about who she is and what she does and the story she's going to tell. Honey, I'm done. You can tell me shit after I talk to Abe. You probably still can't, but
exactly.
But that was definitely. She was just so warm and so engaging every single time. She's consistent, and I appreciate that so much about her. And one day I'm gonna see the beach and those trees on Oprah's estate with her. That we talked about that, and I'm gonna be there. But yeah, she. It was so very special. I felt such a huge sense of pride and dignity talking to her. For someone who's come from the publicist side. She was a publicist for a long time, and to be a game changer in the middle of her life. She flipped her own script, and now she's flipping everybody's script. So,
literally.
So yeah, Ava was the shit.
Well, let's take a listen to your interview with the legendary Ava DuVernay.
Now, when we last spoke, you touched on women directing episodic television and some of those challenges. How important was it for you to gather an all-woman directorial crew?
Well, I originally wanted to direct all of the episodes myself, but when OWN and Warner Brothers, our great partners at Warner Horizon, decided that they wanted more story. They wanted to go from 8 episodes to 13 episodes. I knew that it was impossible for me to do all 13 hours alone. So I invited some really amazing women to direct with me, just women whose films I love on the independent festival circuit over the years, women who I'd gotten to know, just other directors on the scene. And so it became really important when I had the opportunity to make the hiring decisions that I did what Shonda Rhimes did for me when she hired me for my first episode of television. I did an episode of Scandal. And I hadn't even really been looking to break into television, but immediately after I did that episode, many, many offers flooded into me from other TV shows, kind of like she'd given me the stamp of approval, so it was okay for everyone else to take a risk on a lady director. And so it's a ridiculous premise. It's the way that this industry works. It's absurd. But these women who I had known had really tried to direct. You know, Victoria Mahoney had shadowed, and, you know, Sally Richardson had taken every meeting, and, you know, Nima Barnett used to direct television quite prolifically back in the day and just couldn't get her foot back in the door after she'd taken a break to tend to some family issues. And so I knew all these amazing women, and I just wanted to give them the opportunity that Shonda gave to me, but also not just give them opportunity, they gave us a gift because they're all badass. And so they just killed these episodes. I mean, just really fantastic, beautiful, sumptuous images. They really, you know, just did such a beautiful job. I'm excited for people to see what they can do and get to know who they are.
All right, Kayla?
I have honorable mention, but it's to Caron. I have loved recording with you over the past year. It's been so amazing. From our blurred mom to your giggling over reggae. I have just had a pleasure, let me tell you.
Oh, thank you.
It's been awesome. But my favorite one, and it was my first roundtable I was on, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do one next month too, was the Oscar wrap-up roundtable.
Oh, yes.
Where we got to break it down. And that was my first time I got to be just very blunt about how I feel. You guys heard me talk about how Sofia Vergara does not represent me as a Latina, and I'm going to say it to this day. She don't. So I was able to be completely honest about how I feel about representation within the film and TV world, and the conversation we had was so open, from talking about the people that did decide to show up, Oscar's So White. It was so freeing to be able to be a part of that conversation. Our roundtables have been awesome, from dragging X-Men Apocalypse and Suicide Squad and Batman versus Superman.
Oh, yes.
Honestly, our roundtables have been like, to our roundtable for our just complete love of Luke Cage. I have been so honored to be on those roundtables and just let all the tea just spill. So, yeah.
So then let's take a listen to our Oscars roundtable clip that Kayla loves so much.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
I did, but I was like Caron, I was watching it because I wanted to see Chris Rock and, you know, see what actually would happen and how he would actually handle the situation. I wanted to see if he showed up, really. I just wanted to be that person. Like, does he show up? But also, I was watching, on my laptop, I was watching my favorite movie that was underrated and never got a nomination. It was Tortilla Soup with all my favorite Latinas. So for me, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to watch my movie. And I ended up focusing more. I was tweeting and I was also, you know, kind of going back and forth with Caron. And then I was like, all right, well, I started focusing on the movie because it got really boring. The Oscars used to be able to have that little touch that would keep you watching. I got bored, you know?
Yeah.
All I wanted to, you know, the only thing that got me interested was when he did the, you know, the cookies. And then I was like, oh, I got Girl Scout in the refrigerator, so let me go grab some. So.
Well, for me, I did not watch. I was watching Justice for Flint, like many of you, and it was phenomenal. I loved it. I loved seeing Jasmine Sullivan and Music Soul Child and Jesse Williams. It was a delight, and I'm a huge stan for Ryan Coogler, and just seeing the fact that he put this all together on a night where he could have been at the Oscars. You know, his film was being recognized through the performance of Sylvester Stallone, but he elected to do something even greater, and I donated as well. So it was great watching that stream. But I did watch the Oscars by way of my Twitter timeline, and that was a lot more entertaining than actually watching the Oscars. And then I watched The Walking Dead. So it was a very interesting night for sure. So tell me what you guys thought about Chris Rock's performance.
Well, I didn't watch it, but I mean, I didn't actually watch the Oscars as it aired, but I got to see the clips afterwards.
Right.
And I am severely disappointed.
Yeah.
Severely. It's like, God, I don't even know where to start. It's just, as a collective, all the jokes that I saw or that I heard, it didn't really sound like it was truly in favor for us. One of the great things about the fact that Chris Rock was hosting and the fact that Oscars So White happened was, okay, let's make white people uncomfortable, but also give them a chance to think about why Oscars So White is even a thing. This could have been a great opportunity where he shared clips of Black actors and actresses that haven't been awarded, that deserve to be awarded, to see us, not even Black, but also Latino, Latina, Asian, Native American, all of those groups had a chance, LGBTQ, disabled, we all had a chance to see our stuff being featured or to see our stuff being highlighted or to see us having some type of appreciation. That didn't come across. Instead, we just got really lame jokes. Frickin' Stacey Dash. One of the most annoying jokes that I saw was when Angela Bassett had like this little clip where she's talking about Will Smith, but then she ends up awarding Jack Black.
What?
Yeah, it was a clip that was, it was either shared on Twitter or during the Oscars night. But if you see the video, it's as if it's this montage of Angela Bassett talking about a prolific actor that you would think is going to be Will Smith because of what they say, and then they award Jack Black as if to say how Black people are still not awarded what they deserve.
That is so
tacky.
And
it's just like, right. It's just like you have an opportunity to talk about something good, and that's what you do?
I think that's the important part about context for the whole thing, because there are so many people that are commenting that did not watch, they only saw the monologue or they only saw a clip. That was not what that clip was at all.
All right, Mel?
All right, I'm going to do an honorable mention too. And the honorable mention goes to the Sleepy Hollow Season 3 finale episode. Mostly because I was so angry.
That was so cathartic.
I'm still angry, but not as angry as I was then. I was so angry, and I needed to let that poison out. This was a safe environment for me and everyone else to talk about how disappointed we were with the show, how angry we were with the show, how just baffled how they could take something so good and then drive it into the ground so quickly. I mean, it's almost amazing when you think about it. So that's my honorable mention. And my third pick, for completely selfish reasons, is a recent episode. It's when I got to talk to Pearl Mackie from Doctor Who.
Yes.
And I got a chance to meet her and Peter Capaldi at New York Comic Con. And I'm so proud of myself that I handled myself in a professional manner. And then I did not start screaming and pass out as soon as Peter Capaldi made eye contact with me. So, and then Pearl was so nice and so engaging and so inviting. And I ran into her in the bathroom, their nasty bathroom. I don't know if you saw the bathrooms at Madison Square Garden that they have down there. And I ran into her there, and still nice. I was like, oh, this is a really good experience. And I'm so happy I caught a chance to do it.
So let's take a listen to this clip with Pearl Mackey and Mel over at New York Comic Con on our BGN podcast extra.
Shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Is this the sort of start of your first place stuff over here?
Yeah, over here it is. Yeah. We did a day in Toronto before this, which was lovely.
So who do we have here?
Yeah.
Io9.
Yes. Hey!
Are you
I know you. How's it
You're not
going?
We are so excited. I have friends who have never watched Doctor Who.
Oh,
who heard
serious?
you're signing on. They're like, oh, I'm going to start watching that show now. I'm good.
Yes, that's brilliant. That's what we want. For
So
sure.
how excited were you when you got the part?
I mean, on a scale of 1 to excited, I was excited. Like, really, yeah, so excited. I mean, this is the most incredible thing that has ever happened to me. So I'm loving it. It's great. It's like being welcomed into an amazing family. Yeah, and also I get to travel through time and space, which is pretty sick. Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's really good.
Is it sort of unlike anything else in the amount of like secrecy and like press and like things you can and can't say?
Yeah, I mean the secrecy around sort of when I got the job was mad. I mean it was insane. I had to keep it secret for like 2 months. Yeah, which was crazy. My friends were like, "Where are you?" So I was like, "I can't really go out because I'm not very good at like lying to people I've known for 20 years, like my whole life, like." I'm not, and so they were just like, well, I've just been working, I was just working, I've just been busy, but yeah, it's mad. I mean, when I told my mum when I first got the job, I mean, when my agent called me, even she, I was like, are you sure? I had to call her back like 2 hours later and be like, sorry, did you actually just call me and tell me that I got the job? Because I mean, I've imagined this loads of times since the audition. I just need to know for sure. And she's like, yeah, you did. But I mean, yeah, it's mad. The secrecy has been insane. I mean, when we shot the trailer, we went, I was doing a play at the time in the West End, and they stole me away in a car, drove me up to Cardiff. They were like, we can't bring a Dalek to London, They were like, people would be like, what is going on there? Yeah. Hold on, I know what they're shooting. Yeah, so we did that, in the middle of the night, and the car broke down on the way, and it was mad. Yeah, I had about 3 minutes sleep because I was so nervous, and then got there the next day and shot it, and then couldn't even tell anyone after that I'd been there. I was just like, I've just been to Wales for the night and shot something that's going to be on TV. It's going to be announced for one of the biggest shows in the world. And, I want to tell everyone, but I can't tell anyone. It was insane. It was crazy.
Okay, so I want to give an honorable mention to the Ta-Nehisi Coates interview. Man. Let me just give you some perspective here. First of all, obviously, Ta-Nehisi Coates is a very respected man in the publishing industry, in comics now, with Black Panther. And getting him on the show was a huge deal. At the time, he was in Paris. So obviously with the time difference, we recorded it during the day. And I have a day job. So I actually took off of work to get this interview because I was like, damn it, I am going to be on this interview. It has to happen.
I recorded at work.
Did you really?
Yeah, I closed my office door. I'm like, I'm going to be in a meeting for the next hour and a half. Don't disturb me.
I'm sure if you told them who you were interviewing, they'd totally forgive you. Hold my calls. I'm talking to Ta-Nehisi Coates right now. But yeah, it was really cool. And the interview went well. Mel was on there. Joelle was on there. Grace was on there with us. And after the Skype call ended, when I looked at my file, which usually it'll let me know that a recording has completed and it'll show me the file, it wasn't there. I panicked. I was like, oh my God, I scheduled time off of my job. He's Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's not going to just reschedule this interview with us. And thank you to Joelle, our saving grace. She recorded it and was able to get the clip delivered. So that happened. So thank you, Joelle, for that. And it was really fun interviewing Ta-Nehisi because there was a moment in the interview with him where he was actually interviewing us. Like, he kind of turned the tables and started asking us questions. So I want to play the clip with Ta-Nehisi where he kind of starts grilling us and asking us questions during the interview. So take a listen.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl
Grace,
Nerds.
did you have a...
So a professor came out with a documentary. Jonathan Gales came out with a documentary called White Scripts and Black Superman, looking at black masculinities in comic books. And so he includes Black Panther in there and other black male characters. So with your take on with the new comic, Black Panther comic, or kind of like remix, as you said, does it critique, enhance, or maybe even provide an additional face to black masculinity in 2016?
What do you think?
I mean, so far, I think so. I think, like black masculinity has always been like very monolithic, and like you're beginning to kind of like insert layers into, black masculinity that it's not the same. So from what I've read just in this first issue, yes. So, I look forward to, the rest to see how it fully develops,
Yeah, we got to talk after issue 12. I'm interested in that. I don't know.
Okay.
All I can tell you is I just wanted him to be fully developed. I didn't want him to be Shaft.
Right.
Or
right.
I don't know.
Some blaxploitation figure.
Yeah. No, I didn't want him to be that, and I also didn't want him to be Bag of Vance. I just,
Wow.
Interesting. That's a. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Interesting dichotomy right there.
This is Wakanda. This is ours. You understand what I'm saying? This is ours. This is us right here. It is. I was powerfully influenced as a young person by Zora Neale Hurston, right? Because Zora wrote like white people didn't exist. And so her fiction struck me as like some of the blackest shit I had ever read. She caught hell from, a lot of other writers during that period because it was felt that she didn't take on politics. She didn't denounce white racism in her work. She didn't do this. She did that. But all she did was write about the culture of black people in the black world. Right. It was just us. It wasn't, and I always thought like that was the most powerful thing, right? To not allow them to control the conversation, to not, allow that in, to write about our world independent of their world. And I guess, and this was not intentional, but, when you said in Wakanda, this is what's going to happen. This is black folks. This is us right here. This is black folks. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I tried to, even in designing the world and pulling things together, I'm really, trying to pull from different, sort of diasporic traditions. This is our mythology, that obviously doesn't mean other people, shouldn't read it, can't read it. Obviously they should. It's written, it's for Marvel. But this is coming out of the black experience for me. That's where I'm pulling from. I don't want to be in reaction to things that, to the way that white people have written black content, because you're still caught up in the trap then. You understand what I'm saying? You're trying to undo some shit that they did.
Right.
I'm trying my best to write free.
And then I want to just mention my third favorite, because I know that was the honorable mention. My third favorite was the most recent show that we've done, which was a PGN podcast extra among all of us. And that was the 2016 presidential election podcast.
Yes!
Oh,
that was
man.
So lit.
That was really lit. It got a lot of response from listeners, and I think it was just one of those shows where we just was so transparent with our feelings, and a lot of us, you could listen to the frustration in our voices. And
I got real angry.
You got, you really got angry, but then, what you said resonated with me, and I think so many of our listeners, because they were just like, I needed to hear that. So this was a very important podcast for not only us, but for so many marginalized people out there, women of color, that needed to know that there are other folks out there that feel just as disappointed about this election as they are. Even though mainstream media may not reflect that, there's a lot of us that were pissed off. So this episode did very well in articulating that. So I just want you to take a listen to our BGN podcast extra on the presidential election.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.
Obama was elected because I was immediately aware of people that I did not know were racist. Like, it was, oh my God, I've been living in this super white area. And I mean, obviously, you know, when you're in in an area that's white, but you're not aware that all of these people have been like undercover racists. So it was kind of the same. So obviously we knew a lot. Obviously Black America knew that America is not for us, but to see that white supremacy is just, you know, gives zero fucks about us to the point that they'll elect this just super unqualified, racist, xenophobic, sexist, nothing just to punish us for Obama is just okay. So, and then to see all of these people that I went to Wake Forest with or that I went to high school with just kind of either being passive or supporting him was just a bit much. So I spent my day like that, and it was just a lot. It was a lot.
So KB here. I stayed up again probably until, well, off and on till about 1:30. And I think really just my takeaways from the results were mostly like, I don't want this. This is not what I signed up for. You can have this back. A lot of those things. I tried really hard today to be positive, but just after talking to, and I know a lot of people say don't talk about politics with your coworkers, but my coworkers and I have become friends of sorts, and so we all felt the same way. So we had a very long venting session, and just even talking to it with my parents and like kind of what this means for them. And what it means for all of us, and then just discussing it with my best friends. It was a really tough day, I think. Like, just a very tough day to be a woman and a person of color in America, and just to wake up and realize that this was not a bad dream, that this is in fact reality, and soon he will be inaugurated, and, you know, we will have him speaking for us as the voice of America. Like, that is terrifying to me. And so it has just been, I don't know, today I had a lot of self-care where I just really needed to basically climb into a hole and figure out life itself. But, you know, also as someone who works in an industry that he wants to cut almost immediately, it really was just like, oh, okay, so my entire life will probably change, you know, the moment you are truly inaugurated and you really step foot into office. Thank you. So in addition to really just kind of being overwhelmed with the results, I also spent my day looking for a new job, because clearly that's coming down the pipeline as well. So yeah.
We did all three, right?
That was a hardcore episode.
That was a hardcore, yeah. Yeah, it really was. All right, so we're talking about Hidden Figures on this segment, the box office film that is right now number 1, 2 weeks in a row, I should say, starring Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe, about the true life story of these 3 incredibly intelligent mathematicians that worked for NASA. And it's amazing that this story is just now coming into the fold. I did not know anything about these women when I was in school. Very little is known in the history books. So it was a little bittersweet for me. Like, I was excited to learn about their story, but I was so angry that I'm just now finding out about it. Mm-hmm. But Hidden Figures was absolutely fantastic, and we're going to talk about it. So I'm here with Caron, Kayla, and Mel to chat about Hidden Figures. Ladies, whoever wants to go first, what did you think about the film?
I loved it. I thought it was the most uplifting, hopeful, encouraging, validating film I'd seen in a long time, because it was real life. And all I could think about when I sat in the theater, I think for maybe 20 minutes after it was over, and just wrote,
because I felt all of the energy from every time I had been passed over or rejected or had done the work. I made a lot of money for a lot of global companies and never got the attention or recognition for the work that I did. A lot of times, especially when I was, in the Navy, I rewrote an entire curriculum for an entire population of the armed forces, and my name wasn't on it. So it connected in a place that I did not expect. But it made me so proud. I think Taraji, Janelle, and Octavia did an outstanding job. And every single time somebody, slapped them with the backhand in that film, I felt it. I felt it down to my core because this is how we've had to live. We've always had to take the back seat. And I was angry because I didn't know about these women either.
Yeah.
I had never heard of them. I'd never heard of them. I'd never heard the story. I'd never heard their names ever in my life.
Yep. And we've heard of the white astronauts that were mentioned in the film. We heard about Alan Shepard and John Glenn.
Yeah.
But never these women that are responsible for these men being able to go into space and go onto the moon. So it's very interesting. Kayla, what did you think about Hidden Figures?
I felt like you guys, I was super excited to see the movie, but I was confused more than upset. I was confused as to why I was never taught about them, why I'd never really heard about them. It just kind of took, it was just, me, when I first heard about it, I was like, I asked someone, I said, well, that's a cool story that someone wrote. They're like, no, this is actually somebody's life story. And I'm like, well, why the hell are we just now finding out about it? So sitting in there and watching the scene with Mary doubting herself, saying, I'm a colored woman. There's no way I can become an engineer, even with what I have. That fear of getting in your own way and underestimating yourself. I felt that because people have always doubted you. So in your mind, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get there because this, and this. I felt that to my core because I've always done that. So having that reflected on TV, especially with on a film, with someone doubting themselves, not just because of other obstacles, but their race being an obstacle, even though they are intelligent, it was good for me to see. It hit a lot of chords with me. It was really funny because my mom has always told me that my mind works faster than the way I can put my words out, and the faster than I can actually put it down on paper. Mm-hmm. And hearing that line about how Catherine is, I was like, there's Black women like me. That's not, there's someone out there that's being reflected. So it was it was great. I felt really great watching it. I cried a lot, especially with the scene with Catherine coming back from the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was it's sad because it's still a fear I have it's scary to say, as a Black woman, when I have to excuse myself to go somewhere and I may not be at my desk when a person higher than me comes by, that they may think that I'm not doing my job. That's a fear still to this day, which is sad. But that scene, I cried because I still feel that to this day. And we've come very far, but watching it made me realize that we haven't come so far.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, yeah, it was good, but it was still very, like a magnifying glass that a lot of this shit still happens. Yep.
Yep.
That's what made me. So it was a little unnerving to know that. Damn, it's not too far off from 1961.
And what was really frustrating for me was how racism and sexism, like how you're willing to go the depths to stifle the progress of this country because of your own insecurities. Like Jim Parsons' character, Paul Stafford, like he reminds me of every white dude that I've worked with in corporate America. I just want to say, like, I've dealt with that guy. And him stifling Catherine's progress at every turn was so frustrating because who knows what kind of progress could have happened in our country had, people like him gave her an opportunity to be able to excel and be promoted and to be able to take on areas of management or ownership, to continue to keep her outside of the room, to continue to say, oh, well, you're just a computer and names are not authored, and have her name not on those reports. Like, it just really frustrates me to no end because I know that even still that there are women like Catherine that are out there that are being stifled from being leaders in whatever role that they're in just because there's that insecure white dude of privilege that doesn't want to see a woman or doesn't want to see a black woman doing better than they are, knowing that they are smarter than them. So that really resonated with me just because I've had those experiences of being pushed back because, well, you're smarter than me, so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I keep you in your position and that I continue to excel in mine. That was the most frustrating part of the film, but I was happy to see that eventually things got turned around and that there are the Kevin Costners of the world that, do step in and become an ally when they need to be and be able to, as a gatekeeper,
it's
give
always
those
Kevin Costner, though, isn't it? It's always
Kevin Costner, yes.
The poor man's Bruce Willis.
But to give those opportunities when they're needed. So yeah, it was very interesting.
I love the fact that they gave distinctive life to each woman. They weren't a monolith. They had different views on the world. They had different politics. They had different ideas about how things should be run, about how they should behave, about how they should face injustice. They allowed the women to stand on their own as individuals and not make them into a monolith. They were three brilliant women in three very different but related areas of work. The thing they had in common was NASA, but the work they did was very different. Yeah. So with Catherine being the computer and Mary being the engineer, and it was just, I thought it was really remarkably done. I thought I saw, there's a problem in Hollywood with just letting black people be black people, just letting you be people. And I felt like we saw people. We didn't see, these crazy events in their lives that blew everything up and nobody was getting shot, but they were women who were living out their lives in the truth, and the time that they were in. And that and Mahershala Ali is fine.
Hell yeah. And I can testify, seeing him in person, he is a fine specimen of chocolate. Yes, he is.
Did he smile at you, Jamie? I need to know. Did he smile at you with that smile that he does?
He does. Yes, he did. He didn't smile at me, but he did smile. I wish he smiled at me, because then I probably would still be in San Diego and we would be hanging out. But yeah, he did smile.
His smile could disarm a warhead, for real.
It could.
Yeah.
It could. It lights up everything in its path. I just, and they showed him in a role with a woman who wasn't emasculating him, but made sure he understood who she was. Amen. Amen.
Well, I love this movie. I loved it so much. I saw it opening weekend really early on a Saturday, so the theater wasn't crowded. And it's one of those theaters with reserved seating. So what are the odds that the only other black girl in the theater was sitting directly behind me? So when the movie was getting ready to start, she just whispered to her boyfriend, "We're about to see some black girl magic." And then I lost it at that moment. I was like, this is going to be lit. I love this. Even if it's just us two, we see each other.
Yeah.
You give her a head nod? You like, big up?
I gave her a little head nod from the front. She can see it. She laughed. I'm like, we're together. We're together in this. And two things struck me. One is that we're watching a movie about our history that has nothing to do with slavery. And when was the last time that happened?
Thank you. Exactly.
And then the second thing that I could not stop thinking about is that if this movie was not based on real events, it would be starring Kirsten Dunst, and we wouldn't even be in the movie. Or we would be the we'd be the custodians that helped her realize her potential. Because this is how Hollywood works. Mm-hmm. Hollywood would never have made a movie about black women scientists, mathematicians in the 60s because, one, they wouldn't have thought we were smart enough to do that, and two, they wouldn't have thought we were there at all because they seemed to think that we were invented in like 1976. Before that, we were just quiet specters in the background. So I just could not stop thinking about that. And I'm like, it made me sad and angry and annoyed, but then also happy that I got a chance to see this.
Did you notice that the insufferable white characters were given redemptive moments at the end? Like, they didn't want to keep them insufferable for long. Except for Jim Parsons' character, because he remained an asshole through and through. But everybody else, they had their moments of, I did one good deed, like the promotion of Dorothy by Kirsten Dunst's character, and the red-haired girl, I don't remember her name, but when she had given Catherine the pearl necklace, and, I'm just like, were these moments really needed? Were you trying to make these white characters redeemable? Is that what you were? Yeah.
I didn't really see it as redemptive. I just saw it before you were a horrible individual. Well, not really horrible, but
ignorant.
Ignorant. And then now, well, I guess that could be redemptive now that I think about it. But I just didn't really see it that way. I didn't think of it that way. And I was like, now you're treating people with basic human decency. And to me, that shouldn't be that much of a hurdle. It shouldn't be that hard to do to treat another person with basic human decency. So I didn't really see it as redemptive. I just saw it as you doing what you were supposed to be doing in the first place.
What a thought.
I had a white friend say, "Oh my God, did you know that Kirsten Dunst was in Hidden Figures?" I said, "Oh my God, did you know that that's not who the movie is about?"
I didn't know she was in Hidden Figures until I saw her in the scene. I was like, oh, she's in this? Because, I don't know. I was all about the three leads, so
exactly.
I didn't pay attention.
I didn't even know she is the white sugar on a mayonnaise white bread sandwich.
Oh my God.
Always have.
Wow.
I can't stand Kirsten Dunst. So I'm so glad they casted her as that person because I've never been able to stand her. This is the same person that was cast as a French person. She apparently can go from being cast as North Dakota to French. I don't know.
From European to European.
Exactly. I didn't know she was in the movie, which I think says a lot because the media has not circulated, other than Kevin Costner and Jim Parsons, has not. I didn't know she was in it.
I didn't know Jim Parsons was in it until
Me neither.
Costner.
Yeah, I just saw Kevin.
Oh, yeah, I saw him in the trailer. Jim Parsons was in the trailer.
He's in the trailer, and then he was interviewed on Late Night about the movie. Mm-hmm. So that's how I knew he was on there. In the movie, but I didn't know about Kirsten Dunst, which I was like, congratulations, media. You didn't make it about a white woman for once.
They did a good job of making
that was Jim Parsons at first. I had to do a double take to realize that was Jim Parsons.
He's aged.
Real well.
He's aged. He doesn't look the way he does on Big Bang Theory anymore. But they did a really good job of promoting the three leads in this film.
Did.
So I honestly, even Kevin Costner, like, he's an afterthought in the promotion of the trailer and the way they did the campaign promoting the film before it was released. I really didn't know much about Kevin's role in the movie until actually watching it. So I was really glad that they focus on the three leads because this is their story, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And, you know, one really great surprise performance for me was Janelle Monáe. I mean, she was just amazing to watch. That courtroom
she needs to come on the
scene.
podcast.
Yes, girl, I would love it. She quote tweeted one of our articles on Black Girl Nerds, Angelique Roche, who wrote a fantastic article. She's written a few articles about Hidden Figures, and Janelle Monáe quote tweeted it, and I just thought that was awesome. So yeah, it would be great to have her on the show. But that courtroom scene where she gives that incredibly compelling monologue about firsts.
So good.
I was just like, oh my God.
Sounds just like me.
She's just, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And there was some applause in my theater after she had left the courtroom and she was able to get the opportunity to go to an all-white school in Hampton, Virginia, which it's very interesting. I live in Virginia Beach, and Hampton is only a good 30 minutes away from me. And again, I've never heard about this story. It taking place in Hampton, Virginia, in Langley. I know about Langley Air Force Base in Hampton. I never heard about this story as a Virginia resident. So I just wanted to point that out. Like, it's just amazing how this has literally been a hidden story for so many of us, even people that locally live around the area.
Erasure runs real deep when it comes to stories that they don't want told. Where
History is biased.
Yeah,
you think that's where Hidden Fences came from?
Hidden Fences.
You know what?
Because Denzel did say that some people build fences to keep stuff out, and some people build them to keep stuff in.
And we will get to that in our next segment.
You know what? I can't.
Yeah.
I will say this about the Hidden Fences. She redeemed herself with her little letter she wrote to the Obama girls. I will say that.
Who
just
is
a
this?
little bit. A twinge. A twinge.
You know what? I'm sorry. I was not moved by that letter.
Oh, I don't even know about this. What happened?
The Bush girls wrote a letter to the Obama girls about leaving, about, their growth and development, growing up in the White House kind of thing. And now you're off to see the world kind of letter. It was a nice gesture, but I was not moved by that letter. There was nothing deep or profound about that letter. It sounded like chainmail. It sounded like something my third grader could have written. There was nothing that was personal or connective. Except for the fact that they share the common thread of growing up in the White House. But there was nothing that spoke to who the Obama girls are, or their potential, or there was nothing. I felt like it was a handshake and not a hug. And if you're going to make a gesture like that and make it so public to cover up your faux pas a couple nights before, then you should probably make it a hug.
I get what you're saying. I mean, to tie it back to the movie, in a way, it made me think of something that the redheaded secretary who worked in the room, was she ever named? But if she had written something...
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know her name.
If she had written something to Catherine when Catherine was leaving and saying, oh, girl, I know what you went through. I went through the same thing. And I'm like, you may have been in the same room that I was, but we went through different experiences because mine was vastly worse than yours. Their experience, it was literally, well, not literally, it was trial by fire for them since they were babies. Yeah. People have been on their case since they are, they can't even breathe without somebody saying that, I can't believe the Obama girls breathed over here and they're taking good oxygen from good American people. I mean, they can't even walk down the street without somebody saying something to them. It's a completely different experience that these two sets of girls had.
Yeah, and I know there are a lot of people who were fawning over the Bush girls saying it was so lovely and so nice, but there was just nothing. I I read the letter in its entirety, and I was not fucking impressed. I was like, you write for a living. You work for the Today Show, bitch. Do better.
Yeah. So, going back to the film, because I could care less about the Bush Girls. So, going back to the movie, was there anything that you found critical about the movies, or any opportunities that could have been done better?
No, but I love the fact that there was a love story that did not involve sex.
Yeah. That
It
was
was
a
so
great...
sweet. Oh,
There was
they
a
were
love
so-
story that was appropriately framed,
story.
and I say appropriately framed not to diminish anyone's sexual prowess, but it was really nice to see a black man loving a black woman and her family without anything else being an issue. You know, he wasn't threatened by her. He wasn't threatened by her position or what she did for a living, or the fact that she was a widow. And when he proposed, the girls, he included the whole family in that. I thought it was beautiful.
I love that scene. And then the line where he says, "You're not just something, you're everything."
Yeah, girl. Oh,
my heart
so
just dropped.
My husband needs to come on the podcast too. Come on, baby.
Yes.
I won't bite you unless you like it.
Would love him to come on the podcast. That would be amazing.
I'm pretty sure Arjun and Sam could attest that you probably bite Karan.
Karan can be professional. She interviewed Morris Chestnut and handled it just fine.
Very professional.
I did. I sweat the whole time because restraint is an issue. But I did it. I made it through. I took one for the team.
What did you guys think about the music in the film?
Oh, I
loved
music.
I thought it was great. The
Yeah.
music was really great. It kept the story moving along. It didn't overpower the story.
I'm still listening to the soundtrack. I've been listening to it for a week straight.
Yeah, me too.
Good.
It's a really good soundtrack.
I love the contemporary vibe that Pharrell put on to the soundtrack. Like, you know, they could have easily just played songs of that era, but, you know, he went ahead and put his own spin on it, and I really enjoyed a lot of the tracks in it. So
Yeah, and he's not my favorite artist, but he is a hell of a producer.
oh yeah, he's an amazing producer.
He's a great producer.
Yeah.
The hip hop vampire. He is able to like be as
Hip-hop
current
vampire.
as possible.
Well, yeah,
what
he went through the
does.
60s, so he was able to channel that sound.
Shout out to the 757 Pharrell. What's up? He needs to be on the podcast too. Be like, hey,
Yes, to be on the
do it.
podcast.
Yeah.
we're from the same area code. We need to
I
make
would
this happen.
cry. I would cry. Tears of so much joy. I own every album that man and his books. So Pharrell, please do it. Do it for the culture, please.
Take one for the team, Pharrell.
Please. Well, any final thoughts on Hidden Figures?
Everybody
the
needs to go
design.
see it. Yes, the dresses were fabulous.
I wanted to
Oh,
wear
yeah.
what everybody was wearing in that movie.
Janelle
Like, I
Monáe
love
was serving some looks in that film.
Girl, what?
Janelle Monáe's outfits were the best. I loved
Oh.
them. Woo.
And I was like, what lipstick is Taraji wearing? I need to know. For
Yes, like a ruby red. I loved it.
So pretty.
I loved it.
I will say this: it's a film that I went to see without my children because they're expensive, but it's it's an important film, not just because it's three Black women that were a huge part of history that we don't know about, but I feel like it's the first time in a long time it's something appropriate young women can see and see themselves in on film, without there being the overshadowing of hypersexuality or slavery or
Yeah.
abuse or it was really a story that centered around three women who had very full lives and very full brains and who knew how to use them, and they were able to wait long enough until the timing was right, but they opened the doors for the rest of us. And my third grader has a Black History project, and the three names that we had to choose from were those three women from the movie. So I'm really encouraged. I'm really encouraged that it is something that is family friendly. It was just a beautiful film. It was a really beautiful film.
Yeah. And I also would like to add that they're great role models. Like, seeing this film, even though it took place decades ago, would be a great film to watch for young, impressionable kids to feel like, you know what? I could be a mathematician. I can be an engineer.
Yeah.
I could work for NASA. I think that that is incredibly important, and it's so cool to see organizations like Black Girls Code partner up with Fox and do those screenings. And I think there was some article written that there's someone that's doing like screenings around the country and paying for young girls to come and see the film. So I think that's...
Octavia bought out a theater. She bought out a theater so that lower income children could go and see the film.
I think that's incredibly important, and I think that's wonderful, and I hope that more people will follow suit with that, because everybody should watch this film. Young women, men, white, black, like anybody really of all ages can watch this film and be entertained and really appreciate it for what it is. So go see Hidden Figures.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to add, the trailers for this movie, I saw this twice, and the only 2 movies with black people were The Shack, I'm not even sure if I'm going to count that, and the movie about the reincarnated dog.
I saw that in my theater as well.
Are you serious?
Those are the only 2, out of all the trailers that I saw, those are the only 2 movies with black people in them.
Well, then there was also the movie with David I can never say his last name.
Oyelowo.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one. I forgot about
that one in my theater. They also showed that trailer
3.
during Fences.
Yeah.
But I am kind of looking forward to The Shack, because I read the book. And that is a fantastic story, because God is a black woman.
I know. Oh, my God.
Yes.
So, and Octavia Spencer is playing
girl.
her, so what more can you ask for there?
They mad about that too, girl.
Yeah. Oh, God, they even more mad. Okay, Hidden Figures made $26 million this weekend, and that's over, because I've been looking at this and laughing internally for all afternoon. So Live by Night, the Ben Affleck movie, also opened this weekend, and it made $6.1 million out of a $65 million budget.
Ouch. For him to play a white gangster. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So Silence, the Scorsese film that everybody's been talking about, has expanded theaters, and it made $2.3 million out of a $50 million budget. So...
And I think
wish know why the Ben Affleck movie did wrong, did so horribly. Zoe Saldana was in it. That's why.
Don't blame her.
Yeah,
I blame her for everything now.
Don't blame her for this, because it would be just like them to put it all on the black girl, though.
I blame
not
her
in
for the black ice on my street right now.
I don't want them to blame this horrible movie on her. Just it was a black girl. Don't put black girls in movies, and that's it.
I blame her.
You know, that's what Hollywood take from this.
I blame her for my trash not getting picked up on Monday. I blame her.
So the best is Monster Trucks, which also opened this weekend. That made $15 million out of $115 million budget.
You want to know what my child said when he saw the trailer for that? He goes, "That kind of looks stupid. We go see something else."
It does look stupid. So you see all these movies that Hollywood keeps making, and it's like the same formula over and over again, and they're not doing well.
Exactly.
And you see this one movie with a formula that they said would never work. Yeah. Not only do you have one black woman, you have 3 black women starring in this movie, and they said this could not happen. And then it's not only is it it's leading the box office, it's leading the box office over the movies that everyone else thought should have been leading the box office.
Exactly. And shout out to Margot Lee Shetterly, who wrote the book that's based this movie as a film adaptation of the book Hidden Figures. So if it wasn't for her writing this story and putting it out there, who knows if this film ever would have gotten made. So shout out to her for bringing this to light for so many of us.
And Katherine Johnson to get her dues before she died. That is so nice. We never... Yeah, because a lot of the times we always get our roses afterwards.
Yeah, I'm glad she was able to live to see it. Yeah.
She got her medal. She got her building name after her.
That's the part where I cried. It was at the very end when they showed, what happened after these women got promoted and what happened to Katherine Johnson and what happened to Dorothy Vaughan and to Mary Johnson. And I cried because I was just like, wow, these women are just now getting these accolades. And then Katherine Johnson just getting an accolade as of last year.
Yeah.
I just cried because I'm just like, wow. They really don't appreciate us.
What else do we not know? What
Yeah.
else do we not know about our history? What else?
Yeah. So
there's going to be a story of a black woman that was a Nazi killer come out, and it's going to be a true story. It's going to be like, where the hell has this story been?
I can't wait.
So there's a lot of stories out there.
Yeah, a lot of
people just
history.
need to go ahead and just make these things happen. And I'm glad Hidden Figures. I appreciate you, Mel, sharing that information about those facts and figures, because it's good to know what movies are actually the ones people are paying money to see, and ones that people really aren't. So,
and check your
tickets
tickets when you go see it. Check your tickets because they're still switching.
Make sure somebody didn't buy a ticket for Silence. Let that movie fail, please. Thank you.
And please, guys, don't bootleg this movie.
With Silence.
Please don't bootleg Hidden Figures. Please,
no, don't.
Do not. Just put your money where your mouth is. Like, if you want to see representation, pay money and see these films, so that way more of them can be made. Don't
Hidden
bootleg
Figures.
It.
Less Silence.
Tell your dude outside of Walmart, not this week, I'm going to spend my good money on actually going to see it, because that's what I had to tell my person. Because it's only $7 to go see it on a Saturday morning at AMC. AMC movies from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. The movies are $7 to $8.
My ticket for a matinee at Cinemark was $4.15.
Yeah, mine was like $5.25.
So
y'all can do it.
It can be done, guys.
Downloading it, don't do that.
Bootleg Passengers or something. Like, just don't.
No, don't hurt yourself.
Just don't do Hidden Figures.
Love yourself in 2017. Don't do that. No.
Not Passengers. It's a sour cream salad. Ew.
That's why I said bootleg it. All right. So we're going to move on to our next film, which was a huge holiday favorite, and a lot of folks came out on Christmas Day to see it, and people are still coming out this weekend and previous weekends to see it, and that's the film called Fences, starring Denzel Washington and Viola Davis, based on the August Wilson play. So let's talk about it. What did you guys think of Fences?
Oh my gosh. I gotta tell you, it had been so long since I've seen the play. My family members have done a lot of August Wilson over the years, but plays don't always translate well into film. And I thought how this film was treated was absolutely remarkable. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was a part of that family, or at least I wanted to be, so I could help a brother out or help a sister out. I wanted to talk to Viola for a minute. It was so heartfelt that it was almost surreal. The performances were out of this world. Every last one of them were out of this world. The laughter was real. The ambiance. You didn't have, the music that you usually get, the score and all of that you get with a lot of the other films. There was no interference. And I think that any person that calls themselves an actor or aspires to be in film in any kind of way or on stage, this should be required work.
I remember having to read the play in theater when I was in high school. And it struck a chord with me. And then, of course, we watched the James Earl Jones version. Mm-hmm. We got to watch that. And that was really profound for me to see, too. But I wasn't ready for how emotional that this was. Mm-hmm. Viola deserves every award that they can possibly make. If they have awards on Mars, she deserves
all the things. All the things.
Everything. And
her snot deserved an award. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
I was just like, Viola, just wipe your nose, please. Just wipe your nose, because I'm getting distracted. But it was so poignant. I just
not. It hit. The pull, that tug and pull with Troy and Corey. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just wasn't.
I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready because I feel like it's an older child mentality, and especially one that I have with your parents, where you don't feel like you're enough.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that, and it was hard for me to watch it. I think I had Viola Davis snot on my face, because
it was enough to go around.
Yeah, I was just crying so hard. I didn't know how to feel after leaving it, because it just all sat with me. It's like a lot of getting right with yourself, and having to have some perspective, and I wasn't ready for how I walked out the movie theater feeling. It was just so good. And movies are supposed to do that to you. That's what people... There are times when I want to watch a movie and just laugh. That's when I pull out Tropic Thunder. That's when I'm like, I just need a moment to be stupid. But when I want to feel something, this is what I'm going to go to. I'm going to buy it the day it comes out on DVD. Download it on iTunes. I don't know. I'm going to have it everywhere, because movies are supposed to make you feel those things. And as uncomfortable as it made me feel, it still felt good to feel uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So I don't know. It was so good.
It was good. The performances were, I mean, arguably, I think this was the best performance of Denzel Washington's career by far.
Yes, Lord.
It's the best performance. Like Training Day, which he earned the Academy Award for, was really good, but this one far exceeds Training Day, far exceeds Glory. I just thought his character, Troy Maxson, man. I mean, from the beginning where, he's sort of this lighthearted, and he's a man that tells all of these stories, and he's funny and charismatic. But then you realize, he's got a lot of issues that he's battling with. He's got a lot of insecurity, and he's trying to measure up to be the man that he wants his sons to respect. And he's battling with that. And he just goes through all of these hills and valleys throughout the film that, man, I haven't seen a performance like that in a really long time. And Denzel just does it with ease, and he just does it so seamlessly. It was beautiful and magnificent to watch. And Kayla, you mentioned like the push and pull of his character and Corey, when he says strike one. And that's strike two. And I'm just like, man. And then the allegories and the metaphors, rather, between baseball and, all of the things that's happening with the family. And then, of course, the fences, it being built itself. And then Denzel, his character Troy, trying to keep this family fenced in when really he's actually keeping himself out. Like, it's just... There's these really great metaphors throughout the story. And I actually, I'm ashamed to say this, I did not know much about the August Wilson play prior to watching this film. I had heard about Fences, but I had never seen it. I never read the play. So this was my first time being exposed to the story when I went into the movie theater. Yeah, believe it or not. And I took drama as a kid. I was a thespian in high school, whole nine. But I really enjoyed this film. And the performances, aside from Denzel and Viola's, which of course was superb, even like the supporting characters were really good. Both of the sons were amazing.
His friend was amazing.
And then the daughter, Sanaya Sidney, she was recently a guest on our podcast.
Michael T.
She was so brilliant. I mean, everybody at every turn and every scene just hit it out of the ballpark. There you go. Great metaphor for Fences. So yeah, it's such a great movie.
And what's really powerful is that Denzel has a deal for 9 other of August Wilson's plays.
I heard about that. I heard about
he said
that.
Nobody. He said this in every interview, including the one the press conference I was able to sit in on. Nobody's going to stop him. This means that he can put actors to work. This means that he can put directors to work. But this was a self-directed role, which I think speaks volumes to his performance. And the subject matter itself, in and of itself, was a very, very real life situation.
Right. It's interesting to just really quick because as you had mentioned that August Wilson and Denzel Washington's going to be doing 9 plays. Grace Gibson, she had wrote an article on Black Girl Nerds about Fences, and I didn't know this either about August Wilson, that he wanted a black man to direct Fences. He wanted a black man to do a film adaptation of this. So that's awesome that there's going to be more of his work that's going to be done by Denzel Washington. So I just wanted to point that out.
He got all of it, and he said nobody is going to stop him. And I was just I was pleased as punch, because I grew up on August Wilson plays. But like I said, theater doesn't always translate well to film. But the care that they took for this was really just, it was breathtaking. The performances were breathtaking. They were breathtaking. His brother in the film, Michael T., he was just, oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And I had written a review about it on Black Girl Nerds. I'm surprised that there wasn't more buzz about his
him.
Performance.
Yeah.
Like, his performance was stellar. Like, why was he not nominated? Why aren't people talking about it?
It was superb. It was superb. It was glorious.
It really was. Yeah.
Oh, all my life I had to fight.
I mean, people talk about his role as Bubba Gump and Forrest Gump, and that was all great, but this was far better for me.
This was far, far better. There was just so much depth in each of them. There was so much, you just get pulled in. You get pulled into the entire story. You get pulled into each character. And with Viola, she deserves all the things that the earth has to offer her.
I hope she wins her Oscar as well.
She just,
and
oh my
add that
God.
to her Golden Globe.
I can't even, the snot deserves an award.
And her Emmy.
She'll
be a triple. If she gets the Oscar, she would have earned an Emmy, a Golden Globe, and an Oscar.
And then all she needs is a Tony.
Oh my God! If she gets a Tony, what?
Didn't she perform Fences?
She did
on
do it on
Broadway.
She was nominated for a Tony.
Yeah,
Okay.
but she didn't get it yet. She hasn't got it yet.
Yeah.
What do they call it if you get all 4? It's called something. I don't know, and only like a few people have ever gotten it.
Yeah, I think Whoopi Goldberg is one of them.
Whoopi Goldberg is one of them.
I don't know who the other one is.
I think it's all women too, which is
Oscar, Tony, Emmy,
and a Golden Globe. Well, I'm happy with her just having all 3.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's a big deal. But yeah, she like you guys said, she deserves all the things. Fences was just beautiful.
She is also showing you that success does not stop at a certain freaking age, and that is amazing.
Yes.
I remember seeing her. I had just got finished doing Doubt in high school when they did the movie, and it was she was so amazing, and she just keeps getting better and better, like a freaking fine wine. And I can't fathom what else she's going to do, but whatever it is, it's going to be amazing. And just like Caron said, play does not always I was really worried about how this was going to translate to movie, because James Earl, like, if you have a chance to look at James Earl Jones on stage do it, that monologue will
crazy make you cry.
Cry. You will cry. And it doesn't always translate well, so I was really worried. I'm like, oh, I hope this does well, and it did. It surpassed it, and I can only think of maybe 5 plays that have successfully, in my opinion, translated well to film, and this is one of them. Just amazing.
Yeah.
I also think Fences, the issues that were brought up in the film
were very important and still so relevant about how men think of themselves.
Yep.
What kind of man you choose to be. Even when it came down to, him revealing that there was a baby coming and that there was an affair, he did not make apology. And she said, "Are you going to stop messing with her?" He was like, "No, I need that too." I was like, you know what? I wanted to hit him upside the head with one of those 2x4s. But if it wasn't for some of these other women, some of these marriages wouldn't have lasted, period.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Now, but at the same time, the heartbreak, you could hear her heartbreak.
Yeah.
You could hear her heartbreak. And the first thing she did is the thing that all of us women do. We say, "Why wasn't I enough for you?
Yep.
Did I not do it right? Am I not enough when you come home?" And he said, "I come home every night. I'm here every day of the year. I come home every night." And she said, 18 years. 18 years, and now you bring a baby into this house. And girl, I don't, feelings in me don't always display publicly. So, and I happened to be in the theater. It was the first show of the day, and there were a bunch of really cute elderly old black women there. Girl, you should have heard them screaming at the screen. It was hilarious. They hollered at that man so bad. They told him about himself three ways to Sunday. And then we all cheered together. We laughed together. It was such an experience. It was a shared experience in the theater because everybody was in sync. Everybody was so deeply connected into what was happening on the screen. There were no distractions, which I think was the most amazing thing about how they executed this film. There were no distractions.
And I'd like to think, we can easily judge Rose for staying with Troy after, he has this affair and gets another woman pregnant. Like, why did you stay? And even in my mind, I'm thinking, what is wrong with you, Rose? But I'd like to think that the reason why she stayed was for her family, that her whole life is about family. And even after the aftermath of this affair, you can tell that Rose stopped loving Troy after that. Like, she was with him, but she was no longer his wife in the way a wife should be to a husband, where you're in love, where, this is a relationship. She was only with him for the sake of being a mother to his children. And
she told him straight up, "You are now a womanless man."
And you're a womanless man. That's right. So she stopped loving him, but stayed in the marriage. And in that respect, I'm okay with that. Like, I didn't want to, I don't feel like I could judge her for that, I don't know if I could do the same thing in her shoes, but I definitely don't feel like she should be shamed for staying because of, her sense of being, of giving some sense of duty to her own family for, being able to raise them and be there for them.
And she didn't have to, because she didn't have any natural children. None of those children were hers. She, I don't think we could blame her, but also look at the time. She didn't work either. He came home and brought her his check every week. And it spoke volumes to me about the sacrifices we make as women, the concessions that we make as women. And when she decided to stop loving him, it was because she had given all of herself for all that time and realized that he was only accepting part of that. So she kept the rest for herself.
Yeah.
And in the end, when he passed on and there was the funeral, she could look at her life with the kind of perspective that only comes with death. With the kind of perspective that her sacrifices were not in vain. And I have that's bittersweet to me, because I don't want to live my life thinking that it's been in vain. And I don't want to stay in the place where love doesn't exist. But at the same time, this baby for her was the rebirth of love for her. And she didn't see that coming.
I didn't think about it like that. Because I grew up in a family where adultery was a thing, and you stayed or you left. And a lot of the people in my family decided to stay. Very few left. But they would stay until the children were out of the house.
Right.
And then leave. And say, I'm done. Because they stay for the family. So like Jamie said, I don't know if I could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, you know?
Yeah, it depends on the person. It definitely depends on the person. I don't think it's built in me to stay when someone's betrayed me that way, especially betrayed me to the point where they've conceived a child with this person. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not staying. I'm not happening.
I couldn't do it. But props to Rose. Is there anything about the film that you found critical or anything, opportunities that you thought it could have done better?
No. I actually thought it was freaking perfection. I thought it was the best of American theater and American cinema. That is the best film. That is the best theater I've seen brought to film in my life.
If it doesn't get...
I agree with that.
Yeah, if it doesn't get more awards than it's deserved, I'm going to be highly upset.
If Denzel does not win and Casey Affleck wins, I will be pissed.
Somebody going to have to get right with Jesus because I'm coming for somebody if Casey Affleck gets another thing.
Oh, I can't wait till the Oscars round up if that happens. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I will be pissed because it's just mediocrity, man. White mediocrity. It's so pervasive in Hollywood. It really is.
Anyway, I mean,
I have not seen Manchester by the Sea, so
I have no desire to see Manchester by the Sea.
The same thing she plays in every freaking movie. I'm so sick of Michelle Williams being nominated for bullshit. I'm sorry, that made me really mad. No, she plays the same damn thing.
Did you see the movie though? Did you see it?
I did. I watched it.
How was his performance compared to?
He is not. He wants to be his brother so incredibly bad. He wants.
Why? His brother's not that great of an actor, though.
Exactly.
So
he tries to do this thing where he's like, you can tell he's trying to pick up on mannerisms of Ben, and it doesn't work for you. You are the younger brother. You kind of suck. You're. I'm not saying the word. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm done talking about Casey. He's an ass. But yeah, the movie was horrible. I got to watch a screener of it, and it was just bad.
Interesting. Very interesting that he won that award over Denzel Washington. Like, blows my mind. It really does.
And that was before I saw the film, and I was like, there's no way.
But then again, La La Land like swept all of the awards during the Golden Globes, and that I don't understand. But yet, Moonlight.
Well, they like it when white people can stay on beat.
Hey.
Oh goodness!
I'm serious. They love it when white people can stay on beat.
And isn't that like another white savior film about the founding of jazz?
Aren't they all?
Yeah, he's obsessed with jazz, and the guy who directed it, like his love letter to jazz. I love musicals and I love old MGM, so I enjoyed it for it being a musical. Do I think it was the best movie of the year? Hell no. I just enjoyed it for the fact that the music was really pretty. Like, it's just pretty music. And I enjoyed it for what it was, but there's no way in hell it beat Moonlight. That's stupid.
Yeah.
You can enjoy it, but it getting nominated. Ryan didn't deserve to get nominated for anything.
Oh, and Moonlight is being re-released in theaters nationwide, too.
Thank God. Because I need to see that. I need to see it. Well, any final thoughts on Fences?
Everybody go see it. See it today.
See it, love it, be it, embrace it, make it a part of your
artistic life, it will be better for it.
Yeah.
The thing I saw that really cracked me up is I saw a headline that said Viola Davis out Denzel to Denzeliest of Denzels. There is something similar to that. She out Denzel to Denzeliest. Denzelism.
That's funny.
It was hilarious, but just do it.
They both outdid themselves. And
he does that with every role. He you think he can't get any better? Like I remember watching Remember the Titans being like, he can't get any better than this. And then he does every single time because he's amazing. That's what he is. Even though he said some stupid shit in that interview, we're going to ignore it. We're going to ignore what he said because
No, we're not.
I think Denzel. Are you talking about the social media comment?
No, we're talking about the comment about there not being colorism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that'll be another podcast for another day.
To his senses. We're not going to ignore it. We're just going to give him the space and grace that time allows. How about that?
We'll do that.
All right. Well, go see Fences, guys. It's a prolific film. It's brilliant. And if you want to find out more information about Fences, go to blackgirlnerds.com. There's a review up there about it. And we did a review about Hidden Figures, so check that out as well. Thank you to Caron, Mel, and Kayla for joining us on this great best of / Hidden Fences episode. Our 100th episode of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The Black Girl Nerds podcast is produced by Jamie Broadnax. Various episodes are edited by Jamie Broadnax, M.R. Daniel, and John Bauer. The opening theme song to our show is written and performed by Samus. Various instrumentals are performed by Samus, Sky Blue, and Shubzilla. You can find episodes of the Black Girl Nerds podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and Spotify.
That was a HeadGum podcast.